to turn all of this around requires us first to perceive the nature of the struggle we're fighting, and secondly, to have a realistic strategy to win it. At present, we are challenged on both fronts. As to the first, it is almost incredible to me that so much of Western opinion appears to buy the idea that the emergence of this global terrorism is somehow our fault. For a start, it is indeed global. No one who ever half bothers to look at the spread and range of activity related to this terrorism can fail to see its presence in virtually every major nation in the world. It's directed at the United States and its allies, of course, but it's also directed at nations who could not conceivably be said to be allies of the West. It is also, I have to say, nonsense to suggest that it's the product of poverty. It's true, it will use the cause of poverty. But its fanatics are hardly the champions of economic development. I don't know whether the lights went on to show whether there are any fanatics in the audience or not, but anyway, it's nice. Well, thank you. It's nice to see the audience, but whoever's leaning against the light switch, do you mind? Actually, just being decisive would be a good idea. Sorry. But this movement is also based on religious extremism. That is the fact. And not any religious extremism, but specifically a Muslim version. What it is doing in Iraq and Afghanistan is not about those countries' liberation from US occupation. Actually, that is the only reason for the continuing presence of our troops. And it is not us who are doing the slaughter of the innocent in Iraq and Afghanistan, but they who are doing it deliberately. The purpose is explicitly to prevent those countries becoming democracy, and not Western-style democracies, any sort of democracy. It is to prevent Palestinians living side by side with Israelis, not to fight for the coming into being of a Palestinian state, but let us be clear, for the going out of being of an Israeli state. This extremism is not wanting Muslim countries to modernize, but to retreat into governance by a semi-feudal religious oligarchy. And yet, despite all of this, which I consider virtually obvious, we look at the bloodshed in Iraq, and a large part of our opinion says that's a reason for leaving. We listen to the propaganda that tells us it's because of our suppression of Muslims, and have parts of our opinion seriously believing that if only we got out of Iraq and Afghanistan and left them to the carnage, it would all stop.